You glance over at the passenger seat, and there it is again. That faded, cracked, dusty dashboard that looks 20 years older than your car actually is. You've been driving with it for so long that you have started parking with the windshield in the shade just so you do not have to see it in direct sunlight. Maybe you tried one of those dashboard sprays from the auto parts store, the shiny one with the lemon scent and the promise of a factory finish. For about 3 days, it looked incredible. Then, the surface dried out again. Only this time, it felt sticky, dusty, and somehow worse than before. So you bought another bottle, a more expensive one, and the cycle repeated. And the reason for any of this has nothing to do with you driving an older car, parking outside, or living in a hot climate. Your dashboard looks the way it does because every product marketed to fix it has been quietly destroying it. But what if I told you that across Japan, detailers and ordinary car owners have been restoring dashboards in under 5 minutes, using one ingredient already sitting in your kitchen, with no chemicals, no sprays, and no special equipment you would need to drive across town for? Here is what is actually happening to that plastic. The dashboard in your car is not solid plastic the way a Lego brick is. It is a soft polymer blended with chemicals called plasticizers that keep it flexible, smooth, and slightly oily to the touch. Plasticizers are what make brand new car interiors feel almost soft when you run your hand across them. The problem is, plasticizers evaporate. Heat pulls them out of the surface and into the air, which is why a hot parked car smells the way it does. That smell is your dashboard slowly dying. And every solvent-based shine spray you have ever used accelerates the process, stripping out what is left and replacing it with a thin film that traps dust and dries into a crust on top of plastic that is already crumbling underneath. The Japanese figured out something the cleaning industry would rather you never learn. You cannot coat a dashboard back to life. You have to feed it. And once that distinction lands, every cleaning product in your garage starts to look different because the ones you have been buying were designed for the surface, not the substance underneath. In Japan, the ingredient of choice is something almost insultingly ordinary: olive oil. Not extra virgin, not the expensive bottle from the back of the cabinet, just a small spoonful of plain, neutral olive oil and a folded microfiber cloth, the kind you probably already own for cleaning glasses or screens. That is the entire toolkit, with nothing imported, nothing specialty, and no two-step system to memorize. The reason this works, the reason it has been quietly passed around in Japanese car forums and Tokyo garage videos for years, is that olive oil contains a fatty acid profile that almost perfectly mimics the plasticizers that have leaked out of your dash. You are not adding shine to the surface. You are replacing what the sun stole, and that distinction is everything. But the application itself is where the method usually goes wrong, even when the oil is right. The instinct, especially outside of Japan, is to pour it. Drizzle a generous amount onto the cloth, slap it on the dash, and start wiping in long, enthusiastic strokes. That approach leaves a greasy, fingerprint-collecting mess that attracts dust within the hour. The Japanese method takes the opposite approach, built around the idea of shibui, an aesthetic principle that prizes restraint over excess. The amount of oil used to restore an entire dashboard would not fill a single teaspoon. Just 3 or 4 drops onto the folded microfiber, worked into the fabric until the cloth feels barely damp to the touch. If you can see the oil on the cloth, you have used too much. The cloth should feel almost dry, almost disappointing. That feeling of restraint is where the entire method lives. And what comes next is where things get genuinely strange. Once the cloth is prepared, the dashboard is not wiped. That word is wrong for what actually happens. The cloth is pressed gently against one small section of the dash and then drawn across it in slow, single-direction passes with no circles, no back-and-forth scrubbing, and no pressure applied. The motion looks almost meditative, the way a Japanese craftsman might polish a wooden tea ceremony bowl. There's a reason for that calmness. The microfiber fibers are doing the work of pulling dust and dried residue out of the textured plastic at the same time the oil is being deposited into the surface. Scrubbing collapses the fibers and forces dust deeper into the grain. Slow, light passes lift it out. Within about 90 seconds, the section being worked on starts to look different in a way that is hard to describe until you see it. The faded gray deepens back toward its original color. The micro cracks soften and almost vanish under direct light. The plastic looks, for lack of a better word, alive again. And the temptation, once the dashboard starts to look alive again, is to stop right there, satisfied. That is exactly where the method separates a brief revival from a real restoration. After the entire dashboard has been passed over once, the Japanese method calls for a second, completely dry microfiber to be drawn across the same surface in the same slow direction. This is not to remove the oil. It is to buff what is already there into the texture, sealing it just below the surface where the sun cannot find it. Skip this step and the dashboard will look stunning for about a week before the oil migrates back up, attracts a film of dust, and undoes the work. With the dry buff, the restoration sets. The plastic looks matte and natural rather than glossy and chemical. It feels softer to the touch the next morning. And if you have ever wondered why brand new cars do not look shiny on the inside, but somehow still look beautiful, this is the answer. The factory finish was never about shine. It was about a surface that was properly fed. There is one more piece of this method that almost no one outside of Japan has heard about, and it is the difference between restoring your dashboard once and keeping it that way forever. Between full restorations, which only need to happen every 2 to 3 months, the dashboard is wiped down with a microfiber cloth dampened in cold green tea. Not warm tea, not freshly brewed, but tea that has been left in the fridge overnight. The tannins in cold green tea have a faint, natural ability to lift dust without leaving a static charge, which is the real reason dust returns so fast on car interiors, no matter how often you clean them. Standard cleaning sprays generate static as they dry, and static is what attracts the next layer of dust within hours. A cold green tea wipe leaves the surface neutral. It is the quietest possible form of maintenance, and it is one of the reasons Japanese cars so often look untouched by time. And this is where the real shift happens, the one that has nothing to do with your dashboard. Because once you have done this, once, you stop being the person whose car is slowly aging out from under them. You stop spending money on bottles of liquid that promise restoration and deliver decay. You start noticing the rest of the interior, the door panels, the steering wheel, the gear shift, and you realize the same method works on all of it. The car stops feeling like something you settle for. It starts feeling like something you keep and quietly take care of, the way certain people seem to do effortlessly without anyone ever teaching them how. There is a quiet pride in pulling up to a parking lot, glancing at the dashboard in daylight, and realizing you are no longer hiding it from your own eyes. That single feeling, almost too small to notice the first time it happens, is what every overpriced detailing kit has been selling you the illusion of. The reason that pristine cars on the road tend to look that way decade after decade is not luck or money. It is the quiet, unhurried discipline of feeding a surface instead of fighting it. If this opened your eyes to what the cleaning aisle has been hiding in plain sight, the next video applies the same Japanese restoration philosophy to leather seats, the ones cracking for the same reason your dashboard did, and the single pantry ingredient that brings them all the way back. Subscribe so the car you thought you had lost can finally come home.